Some of you might have heard of the GLK by Mercedes-Benz. It was a distinctly designed compact crossover which went out of production in 2015. We never got the GLK in India, but we do have what can be termed as the successor to that car in some ways, the GLB that you see here. Now, this is also a very interestingly designed car and one that makes a very compelling case for itself. How? We'll talk you through it. I'm divided because Merc has always made this out to be a 7-seater, which it is not. And that's largely the main difference between the GLC and the GLB. The GLC claims without any shame to be a 5-seater, and at being that, it is very, very good, no doubt about it. But when you have another row of seats added in the cabin, the practicality quotient, yes, you may say that it goes up by a big margin, which can be true to a certain extent. But generally, to seat people, it's not all that great a place because the last row of seats in the GLB are meant only for very, very small kids. And the more irritating part is the fact that the access to the last row is very, very compromised, and that really does not do the trick for me. I think there is more theatre in the cabin of the GLB as well. The dash is pretty straightforward, there's nothing fancy about it, just that nice big glass panel that is now becoming the norm in all the Merc cars. In terms of features, it's pretty good in a lot of ways and not so good in a few others. In terms of connectivity, you get the entire suite. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that kind of good stuff is going on. And it's a very responsive unit. The MBUX is by far the best system out there in the business. Where it lacks is one, it does not even have a 360-degree camera. And then cars much cheaper are coming with lane keep and adaptive cruise control. These things should definitely have been there in the package. On refinement, now we are driving the 220 diesel. It's powered by a 1950cc 4-cylinder diesel engine, packs about 190 horsepower and 400 Newton meters. And crucially, it comes from as low as 1600 RPM, which is very, very helpful. And one thing which also is a big highlight is the fact that this is a very refined engine. You'd expect typical loud diesel clatter, but even when you start pushing it and get angry on the gearbox, this thing does not complain at all. The pull from the engine is very seamless and it builds speed in a very nice and progressive way, and that's all down to the torque supply. In the way it drives, it is what is to be expected from a car of this sort. It is, I think, slightly taller than the GLC, so it does not really give you that sense of being squat on the road. But I like that about a car of this nature. Again, as I said before, it is not ashamed about its SUV pretensions. The GLC, it's not your typical SUV, or at least the approach is not that. It is a more lifestyle vehicle, drives more car-like. This one is taller, it gives you that whole aggressive, muscular sort of a feel as well. And it rolls around the corners, which again in my book is very, very nice and pleasant. It makes you feel what this car is doing. But it is strictly an SUV. It is not an off-road vehicle at all. The 4-wheel drive or the 4MATIC in Mercedes language, that's essentially only to do with the way the power is delivered and how it is modulated. That is all read by the systems and completely manipulated by the chip, and that works in conjunction with the ABS system. Beyond that, it's not really much, so it's essentially just on the engine and the ABS calibrations that you get traction on all the 4 sides. The steering, it's nice and light, makes for a breeze when it comes to city driving, and also gains a little bit of heft when you're caning it on the highway in a straight line. So the stability is not a problem at all, and it just stays very, very straight, dead on center. But the big talking point about the GLB, at least in the way it drives, is the ride quality. We've driven over some fairly decent bumps and imperfections on the road, and this thing has just gobbled up everything without any complaint. It does not feel twitchy at all, and especially with the way the steering is, it's very nice and fluid. You have all the confidence in this car. So for a highway cruise, absolutely fantastic thing to have. I also really like the brake pedal modulation. I think the calibration is just spot on, and it's neither too sharp nor too slow to react. It's got just the right amount of pedal travel, and even the feedback that you get from the pedal is very good. What Mercedes-Benz has done with the introduction of the GLB is given people a great option in the segment. It sits fairly above the GLA, and then above this is the GLC, which is perhaps not as practical and not as flexible as a GLB is. It is a 5-seater, this one is a 5+2, so you can carry kids very easily, have the whole family going for a trip together, and it's just got a very nice vibe about it. So to wrap all that talk in one sentence, the GLB makes a very, very strong case for itself, and I'm compelled to actually pick this over the GLC, despite of all the follies that it has and all the features that it misses out on. Are you just as compelled to take this over the GLC? Let us know.